We're watching every Adam Sandler film to see if they still hold up. This week, we watched Billy Madison.
Billy Madison was Adam Sandler's breakout role in the 90s, where he plays the son of a multi-millionaire hotel owner who always thought he'd pass the business down to his kid. But because Sandler's character is such a wacky, good-for-nothing goofball, it is instead promised to his mortal enemy, Eric. To win back the company, he must prove that he can graduate every single grade of school all within a few months. The question is, though, is this a Sandler classic or a confused piece of hot garbage?
We play a game of bingo around here using all the tropes of an Adam Sandler film. Up on screen are our cards for Billy Madison. Joe, how did you go this week, my friend?
I scored bingo, of course. We know this. Sandler knew his voice from very early on, and it is so apparent here. This is almost like the birthplace of the Adam Sandler bingo.
So true. This is such a formative movie.
I had toilet humor.
Here's a nice piece of shit.
I had outdated word. Then I had Sandler singing, and let alone a full musical number towards the end.
No man will take what my father has built unless that man is me.
I had boobs, and of course, I had fat shaming.
Of course you had fat shaming.
Now we have the privilege of staring at that tub of lard all day long.
I had basketball. I had Sandler Screams.
Shut up!
I too had fat shaming and Sandler Sings, and ones that I noticed but did not have on my card were
The Busca!
And his signature Yabbadabbadoo.
Yabbadoo!
And before we get into the review, I just wanted to give a big mention to Chris Farley and Norm Macdonald, two passed on legends that were in this film, and it was lovely to see their work. And I'm sad we didn't get to see more of it, but a big rest in peace to both those legends. Let's get into the review.
So the movie starts off with goofy old Billy Madison floating around in his mega multi-millionaire dad's pool.
Just being a real whack job of a guy, just lazing about all day long with his mates.
Yeah, daydreaming of penguins that he's chasing around.
I gotta send them back to the South Pole.
This movie is definitely one of Adam Sandler's most quotable movies of all time, and within 7 minutes of the film, we get one of the most iconic lines.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
It felt like a real birthplace of so many tropes. Like, I imagine this was the first time the O'Doyles were brought in.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're out! Doyle rule!
And the whole idea of Sandler just hanging out with his mates, which we see later on in the years than grown-ups, is foundationally started here with Norm Macdonald just goofing about. The vibe is introduced well and truly when we get a random dance scene from Sandler. We're now aware that the movie is pretty much just a sequence of bits that's rolled around the very loose storyline of Sandler needs to go to school and pass all his grades to inherit his dad's company.
Yeah.
Otherwise, his dad's gonna give it to Sandler's mortal enemy.
So that's where the plot takes us, and there are so many quotable bits and bobs of him, like back to school.
Back to school. Back to school.
The Scotty likes beans bit. This bit's haunting for me because in primary school, I was a big fan of these things called Mighty Beans, if you remember those.
Yeah.
But a kid called Jordan made fun of me, and he quoted Billy Madison to me, and he said, "Oh, Scotty likes beans, don't you, Scotty?" And then everyone started laughing at me, so I punched Jordan in the face.
You're just like Billy Madison, bro. You didn't even know it.
Without the riches.
So Sandler goes to school, and it just becomes apparent that he is a child. He blends in perfectly with his elementary school kids.
And it's a fun dynamic to play that we've all thought about, which is why I think the movie's so accessible, because it is just this guy pegging dodgeballs at kids' faces, making fun of kids. Like the Today Junior bit is still an all-time classic.
Today, Junior?
I think this movie really just feel like an episode of SNL where they're just trialing bits throughout. And I think the big thing I kept coming back to was it's just experimentation.
Yeah, very much so. And a lot of it is lovely and a lot of it does hold up, I think. But it just does not age well on a whole. There is a lot of icky experimentation too.
And it makes sense as well because it's 20 years old. So of course things aren't gonna hold up. So I don't think we're gonna hold it to as hard of a light as we would like a Sandy Wexler that's actually quite recent.
It's like 30 years old, bro.
Is my maths completely, oh my God. Well, of course it doesn't hold up. But the fact that some bits still hold up after 30 years, incredible. And Sandler, again, being one of the writers of this film, at 27, writing strong bits like this, I think is really cool to see.
It's a cult classic for a reason, but yeah, I don't think anyone can defend the principal hitting on Sandler for being horny. The assault brother.
I dare you to touch her boob.
That's assault, brother.
And goes and touches her anyway. Like, and then there's the scene where everyone's kissing, and then adults go and try and kiss kids.
Yeah.
It's like, who thought that was funny, bro?
Of course, we have Chris Farley in this film, and again, rest in peace to a legend. I feel like he was underexplored in this film as the bus driver.
Yeah, it was very one note. One note creepy bus driver. So of course, another Sandler trope we're introduced to is just the shoved in romance. Of course, he starts up a romance with his hot second grade teacher.
Who despises him for all the right reasons because he's such a schmuck.
Don't you think it's a little pathetic that just because of who your father is, you get to come to school all over again?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, there is no, like, it is like pure hatred, and then out of nowhere, she comes on to him, and it's still like a student-teacher dynamic.
Yeah.
It's really odd.
There is a moment that I could probably attribute it to when Sandler does do a really sweet thing where a friend of his, a friend, pees his pants.
Yeah.
You ain't cool unless you pee your pants.
So I think that part probably got the teacher winning him over a bit, but...
Oh wow, he peed his pants right back. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, I definitely thought that love interest would have played out across the whole movie and he gets her at the end, but no, he gets her pretty much halfway through the movie.
Coaching him through high school. It's like, oh my God.
And she also teaches him about life and gets him to apologize to former bullies, and we get a cameo from the Busca.
And I hope you forgive me.
Yeah, sure. Don't worry about it. It's no problem.
I thought this was such a fun byproduct of the experimentation that we have been seeing all movie.
Yeah.
Where we get such great, weird bits like that that would only come in a movie that is trying everything, just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. So to get back to the plot of the film, Eric starts blackmailing the principal of the school and gets Adam Sandler kicked out of school, and then the dad says, hey, you're not getting my company, you've been f***ing around.
He goes back to his delinquent ways, he gets all drunk, he has this super cringe moment at his girlfriend's door.
Billy's here! Hey, baby!
Then the kids go to the principal, and the principal then confesses he was lying, and then so Adam Sandler goes back to school.
Yes, I will go back to school and achieve victory.
And he has to beat Eric in an academic decathlon, which
Yeah.
is where the kind of movie's climax is them doing all these different tests,
Yeah.
which is a lot of fun.
It was goofy, and Eric kind of, not softens up, but you get to see a bit of a goofier, less hateable moment from Eric, which I think is funny.
Of course, Sandler's girlfriend goes right back to loving him immediately. Steve Buscemi comes and shoots Eric in the ass.
Man, I'm glad I called that guy.
And we have a big, lovely climax where Billy Madison wins.
Yeah, I mean, who didn't see it coming? Of course he's gonna get the company, but then he decides,
I decided to step down as chairman of Madison Hotels and give the company to Carl.
I really like that ending, that he was like, I'm actually gonna go to college and become a teacher. I'm like, that's cool.
it was a cool ending, and there's some definite moments in this film that were Sandler moments we see throughout the ages now of Sandler kind of being a sweet guy. Again, this movie felt like a Family Guy episode where it was just a sequence of bits that was strewn out across an entire movie.
I'm happy to get into ratings.
Absolutely.
At its core, it is a really sweet film. Like the recurring characters, the music, how everyone comes and supports Billy. It's a really feel-good film, but it is really stupid. Like a lot of the jokes don't land like I'm sure they used to. I was not there for this era of film, so I'm sure it was really great at the time, but I would give it a 4.
Whoa!
Like, it's not great, but it's not terrible. Like, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite thing in the world. I'm sorry.
I see where you're at with that. I had childhood nostalgia, like just hearing Sandler sing Back to School. I used to sing that all the time with my brother going to school. So there's so much nostalgia tied for me.
Okay, I did miss out on that.
The sequence of bits definitely isn't a plot-driven film like we get later on with Little Nicky or The Wedding Singer or movies like that where they're still really bizarre but have a plot. So I can see how that can absolutely lose someone out. You're just watching a sequence of events. But that being said, I thought it was still really funny and there's some really good bits holding something up, and I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of, man, if I was right now being tasked with writing a whole movie, I wouldn't do what he did. With that being said, I think it's a low 7 for me.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair.
It's definitely not to the level that we're gonna get from him coming up when he really starts to find his voice plot-wise as well.
But a great breakout effort. Like, it's just, like, apart from going overboard, it's like his first big starring role.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I think he did a fantastic job. And speaking of fantastic jobs, we have more movies of him to watch.
Let's pick the next movie.
Joe, I think it's your turn. Good luck, my friend.
Grown Ups 2!
Stop.
Wow!
I remember hating it. Fantastic.
Grown Ups was the first sandpit we ever did.
That's true.
So we get to, in phase 2, we are doing the sequel, baby.
I would like to just quickly put in that I've upped my rating of Grown Ups to an 8, okay? I had it at a 7.5. It's an 8, and I just want to make that clear before we get to the next one.
That's been the Sharehouse. Subscribe to us on Patreon for behind the scenes of this shoot and all these extra bits we do.
Hey, make sure to tell someone you love them today.
Bye.
See you next time.